Let's go Browns! Imagine a player bursting into the NFL spotlight, settling into a starting role in his rookie season, winning over wide receivers with confidence, height, and physicality, and then, just 2 seasons later, seeing that momentum stall. That's Martin Emerson's journey, and it's just the beginning of our in-depth look at 3 Cleveland Browns players poised for a potential return in 2025. But this isn't your typical lighthearted, feel-good article. This is about explaining why 2025 could be a defining year not just for Emerson, but for the very soul of the Browns roster. So brace yourself, because this story has layers, setbacks, and the kind of NFL urgency that only true fans truly understand. Before we continue, hit the like button if you've been a Browns fan for 20 plus years. It's great to see fans of all ages. There are people here who were at the first game. If possible, comment something like, "Let's go Browns. Let's go to the Super Bowl." Okay, let's get right to it. Martin Emerson's rise has been meteoric. A 3rd-round draft pick out of Mississippi State, he didn't just replace an injured Greedy Williams, he took over the job and never gave it back. His rookie season set the tone. A tall, lanky, physical cornerback who immediately looked like one of the draft's bargains. Sophomore year? Even better. The guy was recording interceptions and showing glimpses of a lockdown ceiling. But then came junior year and the fall. Like so many others on the Browns defense and the team in general, Emerson's performance declined dramatically. So what happened? The answer isn't simple, but it's rooted in the brutal grind of playing on a defense that was constantly being asked to bail out an offense in disarray. Under Jim Schwartz, the Browns defense got exposed more than it should have. But not because the scheme was broken, because the balance was. This team led the NFL in turnovers for 2 straight seasons. That stat alone tells you all you need to know about how often the defense was thrown into terrible situations, starting possessions deep in their own territory, exhausted and frustrated. And that frustration wears on even the best players. You start a drive at your own 25, only to see the opposition already in field goal range. Emotionally, that's a grind. You're not giving up 20 points in the first half because you're bad. You're giving it up because you're being set up to fail. But now, with the quarterback carousel hopefully slowing down and head coach Kevin Stefanski regaining full control of the offense, there's a renewed focus on ball security. And if that happens, if the Browns offense can simply stop handing opponents short fields, that's a game changer for Emerson and the entire defensive unit. This is where things get interesting. Because Emerson isn't just on this list of bounce-back candidates out of hope or nostalgia, he's here because the system is finally aligning in his favor again. The defense is getting support, the offense is being recalibrated, and a player with Emerson's raw tools doesn't just forget how to be elite. He needs rhythm, he needs confidence, and most of all, he needs a fair fight. In 2025, he just might get one. Then there's Grant Delpit, another defensive cornerstone whose story is a mix of talent, timing, and unfortunate circumstances. Delpit signed a 3-year extension with the Browns, a clear sign of commitment from the front office. But fate had other plans. On Christmas Eve, in a game against the Texans, Delpit suffered a leg injury that lingered far beyond the end of the 2023 season. And let's be real, fans often treat the NFL offseason like a magic reset button. But healing isn't automatic. Hamstrings don't care about training camp dates. Bodies don't sync up with the NFL calendar. Delpit came into 2024 not fully healthy, and it showed. Add to that the weight of covering for one Thornhill, who, let's be honest, was a major liability, and you've got a recipe for underperformance. Thornhill's communication issues and blown coverages put Delpit in the impossible position of having to play safety for 2. That ends now. With Thornhill out and new reinforcements like Ronnie Hickman and Deontay Johnson in the mix, Delpit finally has the support to play his role, just his role. Nothing more, nothing less. And for a player of his caliber, that focus can make all the difference. There's also a psychological edge here. Delpit has always been a player with elite instincts and a high football IQ. But when you're forced to compensate for another's failure, your own play suffers. Now, with a simplified role and a clean bill of health, he's set up for a return to form. And let's not overlook the emotional part of this. This isn't just about performance. It's about redemption. It's about proving that the Browns were right to believe in him with that extension, that he's still that guy. But while Emerson and Delpit feel like calculated bets, the third name on this list, that one's more of a wild card. Enter Deontay Johnson, a name that sparks more skepticism than excitement for most fans. And for good reason. This is a player who, in the span of a month, managed to get booted from not one, but 2 playoff caliber teams, the Ravens and the Texans. Let that sink in. You have to really self-sabotage to be cut twice by teams bound for the postseason. That's not just a red flag, it's a siren. Yet, there's a twist. Johnson recently revealed on a podcast that the Browns were the only team to even call him. That reality hit him hard, and maybe, just maybe, that was the jolt he needed. Because when a 27-year-old wide receiver is staring down the possibility of never playing in the NFL again, perspective can shift fast. This isn't about proving the doubters wrong anymore. This is about survival, about getting one more paycheck, one more shot. So yes, Deontay Johnson has baggage. He reportedly refused to enter a game in Baltimore because it was too cold. Newsflash, Deontay, Brook Park's dome isn't ready yet. You're going to have to play in the cold if you want to wear brown and orange. But we also know this, he has talent. We saw it in Pittsburgh. The route running, the quickness, the hands, it's all there. The only question is whether he's finally ready to stop being his own worst enemy. And that's the heart of the 2025 bounce-back conversation for the Cleveland Browns. 3 players, 3 very different paths, but all with the same stakes: deliver now or risk fading into the shadows. There's something captivating about the idea of a second chance. It's the core of sports storytelling, redemption arcs, comebacks, and the raw, human drive to prove the doubters wrong. And for the Cleveland Browns in 2025, it feels like we're watching the opening chapter of 3 personal sagas that could redefine this roster's identity. But here's the thing, this isn't just about individual players getting right. This is about a franchise trying to turn the corner. And the success, or failure, of players like Martin Emerson, Brent Delpit, and Deontay Johnson could shape how far this team really goes. Let's circle back for a second, because Martin Emerson's case still raises a crucial point about context. Too often, fans isolate performance without examining the conditions behind it. Emerson didn't forget how to play cornerback. What he experienced in 2024 was the wear and tear of a defense stretched beyond its limits. They were asked to cover for offensive mistakes week in, week out, often starting with their backs against the wall. And when that happens repeatedly, it saps your confidence, your timing, even your discipline. That step Emerson lost? That wasn't physical. It was mental. But what makes 2025 different is the promise of structure. Fewer turnovers, more time off the field, and perhaps most importantly, renewed belief. Defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz will likely scheme more creatively, no longer forced to simply hold the dam while the offense figured itself out. And in that stability, players like Emerson can get back to the fundamentals, reading routes, breaking on balls, trusting the system. That's when the interceptions come. That's when the swagger returns. Now, on the subject of swagger, Brent Delpit has it. Always has. Even in LSU, you saw a safety with poise, range, and leadership. But last year, he looked like a player constantly looking over his shoulder. Not because of competition, but because he didn't trust the man next to him. That's no way to play the safety position. You're the last line of defense. You need clarity, chemistry, and communication. Delpit had none of that with Juan Thornhill, and the result was exactly what you'd expect: busted coverages, hesitation, and missed assignments. Now, with Thornhill out of the picture and support from Ronnie Hickman and Deontay Johnson, Delpit doesn't need to overextend. He can focus on his zone, his reads, and his instincts. Less noise, more football. And that's key, because a clean Brent Delpit is a dangerous player. He's shown flashes of being one of the better safeties in the league when he's locked in. And with a full offseason to truly recover, mentally and physically, 2025 offers the clean slate he desperately needs. But still, the most intriguing name of all might be Deontay Johnson. Not because of what he's done, but because of what he hasn't. Let's be clear, there is real risk here. The fact that Johnson was cut by 2 playoff teams in rapid succession is not just concerning, it's borderline unprecedented. And while it's tempting to buy into the redemption narrative, it comes with an asterisk. He's on thin ice. One misstep, one attitude issue, one sideline outburst, and it's over. The league